Reverse hypers might be one of the best exercises you're not doing, but here's how not to do them. This is what you need to do instead. Reverse hyperextensions are a really great exercise to train your entire posterior chain. So that's your lower back, glutes, and hamstrings. And they're particularly a great exercise if you have low back issues, because they actually provide somewhat of a traction to the spine, almost of an unloading of the spine. So if you have some back issues, or you're just squatting heavy all the time, deadlifting heavy, then these are a really great exercise if they're performed correctly. So we've got Lewis here set up on the bench, and what he's going to be doing is having his hips slightly off the back end. Now I like to coach these with a slight rolling, almost tucking of the spine, tucking of the sacrum at the bottom, so we get that full kind of stretch of that spine. What he's going to do is have his chin tucked, he's going to have himself stable into that bench as much as he can, and then he's going to try and initiate the exercise by contracting his glutes and extending his legs all the way to the top. When he comes down, just notice that rolling of the spine, almost rounding as he comes to the bottom. So he's not using any momentum with this exercise whatsoever. It's a full contraction of the entire posterior chain, and as I said, an unloading of the spine. That's how to do them correctly. These are the top errors that I see in your setup and how to correct them. First one is having the handles and the grips too close. Now what that means is that you're not going to be as stable with your setup. So instead what you want to be doing is taking these as far out as you can so that your elbows are almost just slightly soft so you can get a good grip. So you notice there he's got a much better grip than he was at the start when he was super close in here. Number two is head position. So if you notice at the moment, he's actually looking down at the moment, but a lot of people tend to be looking up in this kind of overextended position. What we want to be doing is having that chin tucked the whole time, and that does kind of influence the rest of the back here. Number three is almost being kind of too high on the bench. When we're too high, we are kind of getting more of a hip hinge type motion, and that's great. We want a hip hinge motion, but we do want to get that slight rolling, that kind of tucking of the sacrum underneath to get that full unloading of the spine. So this is more of a hip hinge movement, and that's because he's almost set too high up on the bench. Whereas if he just shifts himself down a little bit more, just notice the difference in kind of that tucking, that rolling of the spine he's now able to get, and that almost unloading of the spine as well. Next up, there's having the weight too heavy. When the weight's too heavy, you're going to be using too much momentum instead of using that kind of muscular contraction to lift the weight. So make sure that you actually use the right weight for these. Finally, it's actually having this belt too high up or even too low. So just make sure the belt is just kind of behind on almost that Achilles tendon just above your heels. So you're getting that full load and you're kind of maximizing that lever arm and you're nice and stable. Just give me a good few reps, Lewis. And that's perfect form. I hope those tips help you out in your reverse hypers. Let us know if you have any questions in the comments below.